Welcome to the Charge Room Show. This is Queens Must Wear Crowns. Hi, everyone. I am Ilyasa Simpson, aka Minister Charge, aka Coach Illy. Come on in. I see y'all popping up. This is a glorious day. Guess what? It is almost spring, y'all. And daylight savings has definitely come upon us because it's getting lighter now, right? So I just want to talk about a heavy topic that's normally the elephant in the room. But I just want everyone to like and share this page for this juicy discussion. So tell somebody that Queens Must Wear Crowns is on and just like and share this page. Also, remember, we stream from three platforms. My page, Eliasa Simpson on Facebook, the Charge Room page on Facebook, and also our YouTube page, the Charge Room. So, like my page, like the Charge Room page, follow us on Instagram, the Charge Room, and also take time out to subscribe to the Charge Room page and get notified for every single time that we are on live. So, Wednesdays are for women, Thursdays are for men. Where's my king? So every Wednesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are on deck. And not forget, iHeartRadio, the Charge Room Show, is on every single Sunday at 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. So never forget to stop by. We are definitely on deck. So again, we are here today to talk about a topic that's most times the elephant in the room, but it takes us to a place where we have a huge issue with it, a silent issue with it. So we're going to talk about colorism. Colorism, discrimination against individuals with a darker skin tone, right? Colorism can also be defined as the preference or desire for both lighter skinned men and women and their features over someone with darker skin, right? Colorism stems from the belief that people with lighter skin are more valuable or they take a better shape than one that has darker skin. Colorism. Colorism is happening in America since the days of the slavery, which practices that the lighter skin of the Black Americans are the better um, individuals of Black people, right? So, um, colorism places a huge influence in people's physical attraction and how they associate with Black women. The light skinned or dark skinned person, their tone is correlated with how attractive they are, right? Lighter skin complexion is associated with the higher feelings of being privileged, right? Studies also find that color related feelings of self worth and attractiveness are also a huge influence with colorism. Black women consciously and unconsciously move to ideals of beauty connected to their white ideals of beauty. Let me give you an example. For instance, a smaller sized body, right? The texture of one's hair or just their appearance altogether. Maybe a broader nose versus a slim nose. The way our face is cut, our full lips, right? And again, sometimes we get skipped over and no one wants to talk about it. But I have a queen today that only does she talk, she wants to talk about it. she also wrote about it. This queen is also a queen in the book that we recently published in December called I Am a Woman Empowered, right? So not only that, I have this queen here. She's coming on and she's going to talk about her chapter. Her chapter was about colorism. And I just want everybody to know, y'all better get that book because it's a beautiful anthology of 26 queens that sat down and discussed their story of how we were resilient, how we had strength, and how we triumphed through everything that we went through. And guess what? We are still here. So, one of the queens here, I have her here today, Miss Kimberly Fowler, aka as K Marie. Hi, Queen. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm
Can
glad
you
you
hear me?
came to chat with us today. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm glad you came to chat with us today because this is a super important topic. And it's a
Yes, ma'am.
topic
It is.
that needs to be discussed. So tell us, one, talk to us about what brought you to write about your chapter and then talk about your chapter.
Okay. Well, honestly, I've been through a lot during my 46 years, and I chose the colorism because out of all of the things I've been through, I thought that would be the easiest thing to write about. But when I started to write the chapter, I realized that was not so easy to write about. Some of those childhood experiences that I went through with the colorism, when I started to relive those things as I wrote about them, um, it really still hurt. Um, and I cried real tears when I wrote about things that happened to me when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Because at that time in my life, my personality was still forming and shaping, and my self esteem was still growing. And when those things happened to me, it stunted my growth and my self esteem, and it affected how I felt about myself. And so those things stuck with me as a young adult. So,
So not, I'm sorry, but not only did you have to deal with, say, like peer pressure growing up as a teen,
mhm.
you had to deal with peer pressure and colorism. That
Yes,
was
ma'am,
like
among other
a
things.
double whammy, and I definitely can understand how it placed this pain inside of you, and then when you went back to write about it again, is reliving it, and it's almost like it was a nightmare.
Almost. Yes.
Right. So what brought so as you started writing and you started reliving it, right? What were some details or some examples that you can share with us that you experienced going through this process?
Some examples from the book.
No, your well, yeah, because it's still your real life examples.
Okay. Well, being compared to some of my lighter skinned relatives growing up, um, just being called, the ugly kid in the family, um, being treated not as well, not by family members, but even strangers, as they would approach myself and other relatives. The other kids were giving compliments, and I was just overlooked for no reason at all. I was always a nice, respectful kid. I always made good grades up until a certain grade. But it's almost as if that didn't matter because of the way I looked. So it almost felt like it didn't matter how nice I was or how smart I was because of my dark skin.
What was the pivotal point that brought you to a place to let you know it doesn't matter the color of my skin? It doesn't matter the way people look at me. I'm going to stand on my own.
I don't think it was one major event. I think it was several things that happened over a period of time. As I stated in the book, my father, who is deceased now, he always took us to the side and instilled values in us and taught us about Black history icons that they did not teach us about in school. So I was able to see the Black Panthers. And a lot of those people were dark skinned with natural hair like myself. So I was able to see those images. Um, I was taught by my grandparents to love myself. I had a best friend who taught me how to manage my natural hair, who happens to be the baby sister of the publisher of the book. I went to an HBCU, and there was nothing but Blackness on that campus. And so we were taught to love ourselves on that campus, and we were taught the power of potential on that campus. I joined a Black sorority. So it was just a number of things throughout my life that finally got me to that point.
So, could you give us a little snippet of your chapter that you wrote in the book?
I actually do not have it in front of me, unfortunately. I can step away if you give me a second to grab that
Sure,
and
why
let
not?
you. Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
I do have
Okay.
it, but
Okay.
I want you to read it.
You
These are
want me to
your
grab?
words.
Okay. Well, I will grab my book.
Go get your book. So ladies and gentlemen, as you just heard, Queen talked about her growth was stunted. She spoke about how she was overlooked. She spoke of how she was called ugly. She spoke of a lack of self esteem, right? A lack of value, right? She spoke of how a supportive network and being educated of her blackness, of her heritage, of, to have self love and the power of potential. So I'm going to say this because this is something that I always say: never sit on what someone says you are. Always learn who you are, stand in who you are, and value and commit yourself to a level of where you desire to be. You are not what someone calls you. You are not what someone else says you are. You are whoever you want to be, and never allow someone to tell you who you are. You are your future. You are your commitment to yourself. So always stand up and walk in your truth. So you have everything you need, Queen?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Okay. So I'm just going to read a short part from the beginning and then a short part from the end.
Sure.
Okay. From the beginning, childhood remembrances are always a drag if you're Black, especially if you're a dark skinned girl with kinky hair. I wasn't born believing my dark skin was inferior, that my natural hair was nappy, or that my smile was ugly. Early childhood experiences changed my views to the unhelpful, inaccurate beliefs of I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, and I'm not worthy of the love I wish for or the mate I desire. And from the end, over the years of becoming the Kimberly I am today, those closest to me have penned new nicknames and descriptors of me: outspoken, strong, powerful, wise, phenomenal. I am a lady, but I am hood AF around my circle. I love my dark skin and my woolly hair. I now know I am worthy of all I desire, plus more. I am a chocolate, confident, cool ass, intellectual chick. I am an empowered woman who strives to empower others.
And that's because you found who you are. You found
Yes,
your
ma'am.
identity. You got your tracking. You stood in it and you ran with it.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect example of perseverance. Perfect example of being relentless. Perfect example of not allowing yourself to be what someone says you are.
Yes,
So
ma'am. And
I
learning our
commend.
history. We've got to learn our history, and then
Absolutely.
we learn to love ourselves.
Absolutely. And I definitely can identify, and I know there's so many others on the line right now that can identify. Because even with my skin tone, I get called a dark skinned person, or she's ugly. And again, it goes back to slavery times where the slave master would choose the lighter skin as the house nigga and the darker skin as the
Mhm.
field nigga. So it's not something that's just made up. It's something that's
Yes,
generational.
ma'am.
I'm gonna call
It
it a
is.
generational curse, right? So as we go through our lives, this is just behavior that has been placed innate within us now, and it
Yes, ma'am.
goes down. So our parents
Mm-hmm.
teach us what they know because their
Yes, ma'am.
parents taught them what they knew, what they were taught.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it just flows in a circle. And it's
Mm-hmm.
when someone says, okay, when does this merry-go-round stop?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm just gonna just be frank and honest and say that we have
Mhm.
seen enough Black people killed by police and other people without consequence that we should know that it doesn't matter how light or dark you are. At the end of the day, you are still Black.
That's right. You are
In the
still
famous
Black.
words of Jay-Z, if you have not listened to 444, I encourage you to listen to that song,
Hmm.
The Story
Hmm.
of OJ. It doesn't matter. House nigga, field nigga, still nigga. So it doesn't matter
That's
how light or dark you are.
right. Right. It doesn't. And and even down, I think I was expressing to you yesterday how people still will use the comparison to a brown paper bag.
Yes, ma'am.
and even to say like the new story that's coming up today with um the Duke and Duchess of from England, how they question how dark her baby would be in her womb. How would the baby look? What color would the baby be? And then I saw a caption that says she has no right to say nothing because she's not dark enough. At the end of the day, she's still Black.
Yes. Look at what's happening to Meghan Markle.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. At the end of the day,
Yes.
she's still Black.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if it's 1825 or
Mm-hmm.
2021. It's still happening.
Yes.
And we're still doing it amongst each other.
Yes.
So it's like, when do we recognize that this is us?
Yes. We're
And
all in
when
this together.
right,
Or
and
we
when do
should
we
be.
stand up to say, okay, let me take accountability and rethink my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Rethink, how am I treating the next person?
Mm-hmm.
Rethink, am I calling somebody with a darker skin ugly? Because that's the first thing that may come out of somebody's mouth because
Mm-hmm.
somebody taught them, oh, if you want your child to look a certain way, you need to pick a woman or a man that is a fairer skin if you're
Mm-hmm.
dark, right? And so many people, they ride with it. Why? Because that's how they were taught. That came from their environment.
Yes.
So they applied it to their life. They took their learned knowledge and applied it.
Yes.
So what happens is, how do we fix the problem? This is a long problem. This problem is a long history
Yes.
problem. It's
Yes.
not going to change overnight,
Mhm.
but what we can do is make a difference.
Yes. And that is why, therapy, I believe, is beneficial to everybody. And so many of us think we don't need therapy unless we're in crisis mode. But I think that, many African Americans need to be in therapy, not just individual, but family therapy. And that's how we break generational curses. We need to be in therapy.
Absolutely. And even take the stigma off of therapy. It's
Yes.
it's it's just applying your situation. First identify that you have a situation,
Hmm.
and then take that situation and pull it apart. See what
Hmm.
role you play in it. See how you can implement a new behavior. How you
Hmm.
can process this thing and say, "Wow, do I really do this?" Become aware of what you are actually doing. People
Yes,
don't even want to accept awareness.
that's true. We don't want to be held accountable.
Not at all. So when
Not.
you take that thing and pull it apart, have a seat sometimes. Stop
Hmm.
pointing the finger. Stop
Yes.
trying to act like you're not in the room or this topic is not
Yes, ma'am.
available because it's not pertaining to you.
Yeah.
No, it does pertain to you.
Yes. We've got
You
to stop being
are
so
a part of the
defensive.
problem. Let's
Yes.
make solutions. But
Yeah.
the only way that's going to happen is each of us individually come together
Hmm.
collectively to say, let's approach this thing. Let's find ways that we can reduce
Hmm.
this thing,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
it's like, what do? You got to do
Hmm.
your part.
Yeah.
You got to do your part.
Yeah. We've got to own our stuff. We've got to stop being so defensive. We've got to sit down and be quiet and listen to others. And then we need to go to therapy.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Queen. I totally agree with you. So what did you have any plans for taking your chapter and creating a whole book with it?
Well, people have encouraged me to do so, and I am thinking about doing that.
I think it would be a great idea,
Yes,
Queen.
ma'am.
I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
it
I think I will do that.
I think it'll be a great idea because
I
again,
think
like
so.
I said, this is something like if you don't bring it to the forefront, it's still going to be the elephant in the room.
You're right. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I will do that.
It still be the elephant, and you can even apply a
All right.
workbook with it. Like,
You know what?
okay,
That's
so
a great idea.
let's
Yeah.
see what role I
Yeah.
play
Now,
here.
I did not think about that. That is a great idea. I think I will do that.
Yeah, like let's
Yeah.
see what because if you don't write it down,
Mm-hmm.
that's my thing. I'm a write down person. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
write it down, you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
If you write
That's
it
true.
down, you can see it, you can read it, you can
Mm-hmm.
speak it out. Does this make sense? Am I a part of the problem?
That
It'll
is
make
true.
you open up your eyes to see just a little bit clearer because again,
Mm-hmm.
people are quick to point a finger,
We are.
but
And,
they don't never point it back at
yeah.
themselves, right?
And,
So
yeah.
I
And
I
again,
just
that
think
goes
that
back
would
to
be a
therapy.
good idea.
Yeah, that goes back to therapy because so many of us don't have the appropriate communication skills because those are things that are not taught in school and are not taught in our homes. It's taught in therapy. And most of us are not exposed to therapy. I was not exposed to therapy until I became a therapist. So we don't have the appropriate communication skills. We know verbal aggression. We know how to point the finger. We know how to curse somebody out, but we don't know
And we know
how to
how to fight.
assertive communication. Yeah, and we know how to pray. So again, we need therapy so that we can learn the appropriate skills to communicate, to cope with stress, and to even acknowledge our hurts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Queen, for
Thank
bringing this
you.
beautiful topic on deck because it's definitely something that needs to be discussed.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
um, I'm just a person that I love to do research and different comparisons on what
Mhm.
other publishings, display. You definitely can be a part of that. You know,
Yes,
doing
ma'am. Well,
you could create a research based survey yourself and come up
mhm.
with findings and put them into words. You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
and then attach it to your workbook.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know,
Well, I appreciate the invite, and yeah, that's a great idea, and I think that would be beneficial for our community.
yeah, because say like in 2021, because some people even again, they'll overlook it to say like, oh, that's so long ago. But why is it still existing?
Yeah. Yep.
Why is it
It's,
why is it still existing? Because
yeah.
it grows into black on black crime. Like
Mhm.
it has it's so many directions that it flows into.
Mhm.
And
Yes, ma'am.
one has something to do with the next one. So
Mhm.
again, so if we take a step back and look at what role are we playing just by speaking, because our tongues are powerful.
Yes, ma'am. They are.
Just by speaking, you can ruin somebody's life.
Yes, you
Just
can.
from
You can end somebody's life just by speaking.
right, just by you speaking sharply with your tongue,
Mhm.
just by you pointing a finger and speaking in a specific tone, you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
ruin somebody's life,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
not only that, a person will always remember how you treat them.
Yes.
They may not remember your name, they
Mhm.
may not remember what you had on, they remember how you treat them.
Most definitely.
So that's
Yeah.
something that people take for the rest of their life, and then they'll receive it, their value. They don't look at themselves to have value, they don't look at themselves to have power or strength, and
Mhm.
they take that thing and wear it and
Yes, ma'am.
die with it as well.
Yes, ma'am. That's true.
So I just thank you so much for coming on today.
Yes,
um,
ma'am.
and I do want to invite you on again next week. Not next week, but another time, and we're going to
Yes,
do a
ma'am.
different approach for a different topic. Okay,
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate the invite.
no problem. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Queen Kimberly,
All right.
and
Thank you.
bye bye.
All right.
Yes, everyone. Colorism is something that we may not want to look at on a regular basis because it's not directly in front of our faces, but colorism is in the room. No matter what skin you are, no matter your hair texture, no matter your eye color, no matter the shape of your face, the boldness of your lips, how your body is curved, if you are black, you're black, no matter the skin color. So putting each other against each other, of your skin. Oh, I prefer a lighter skin, thinner frames woman. Why? Because she emulates a white woman. Again, goes back to slavery, y'all. This is a problem. What role do you play in racism? Is it you that's putting down someone else because they're darker, calling them ugly? Is it you calling someone a different name because of their hair texture, because they have bold lips, a bold framed nose, different types of cheekbones? Is that you? Is that you that's seeking out only a certain opposite sex skin tone so your child cannot look dark skinned? Is that you? Ask yourself these questions. Be accountable. Be accountable of your behavior. Let's get things right. We have more days behind us than we have ahead of us. Let's lead and lead others to lead. Let's end prejudice in America today. Thank you so much for coming on Queens Must Wear Crowns, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye for now.